Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10, a short version podcast talking all things Pittsburgh sports. Today is Tuesday, September 17th, and we are fresh off of a Sidney Crosby contract extension. A little bit of surprise. No, it's not surprising. You knew Sidney Crosby was staying around, but certainly a question, an issue, a curiosity, all of that stuff that it took this long, right? You expected Sid to stay. Nobody expected him to go elsewhere. He couldn't go elsewhere. He's under contract for this upcoming season. And obviously the ideal thing here, right, is for Sidney Crosby to finish his career as a Penguin. I think that's what he wants. I think that's what they want. I think that's what you want. Fairly standard stuff, right? But I wrote today, actually I wrote yesterday, now the hard part starts. Now the other stuff comes into play on how you make this work out for both sides. And the question isn't necessarily Sidney Crosby, right? He was fantastic last season, showing no signs of age. He's 37. He's not playing like it. I believe he was 12th in the NHL in scoring last season. I mean, it's all there. It's a team-friendly contract. Went on that whole diatribe in my piece today, and it's generally been the conversation topic around the deal. 8.7 average annual value. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I think it's his 19th year at that number, something like it's been a long time. But again, back to the point of what the Penguins need to do on the ice and how to have this work out. I do think Sid wants to win. Like, I don't think he's going to be comfortable just coasting in mediocrity into retirement. And how I arrive at that point is, one, knowing a little bit about Sid, and two, sort of understanding why this took as long as it did. He wants to win here. He wants to know what the Penguins are doing and if they're going to put a competitive product on the ice. And part of that is more than just spending to the cap. The Penguins are going to spend to the cap. That's not a problem. It's how you spend. Do you believe in the plan? Is there enough around? And Sid yesterday talked at the season ticket holder delivery. Andrew Destin was out at that, by the way, and thank you to Andrew for handling. Matt Venzel was up in the Buffalo Prospects Challenge. I was flying back from Denver, so Andrew went out to that. But anyway, he talked a little bit about his conversations with Kyle Dubas and how much they've gone back and forth and believing that the Penguins can win. I hope Sid's right. I hope Dubas is right. I actually think it was a pretty good offseason for Kyle Dubas. I've written and talked about this a few different times. It's nothing spectacular, but the moves, he created competition, the bottom six spots, I should say. And he brought in centers and wings with a lot to prove and a little bit of pedigree. Whether that was Cody Glass being taken high in the draft, Blake Lizotte does some things that they've really lacked in terms of a forecheck and being a pest. We saw last season Michael Bunting kind of worked out pretty well here. Kevin Hayes was an all-star a couple years ago, has something to prove that, maybe his contract won't get dumped this offseason. That has happened plenty. So anyway, you're surrounding Sid theoretically with a supporting cast to, keep blowing air into the balloon, or whatever metaphor you want to use. But the Penguins this season have to get to contention. And I fleshed this point out a little bit in the column, but I can take some time here to talk more about it. Think about what happens if this doesn't work. And I know that's a sort of morbid thought, but if the Penguins stink this season, let's say they just finished, last, next to last, something like that, miles away from the playoffs, don't you think there's the possibility you just call this whole thing off? Maybe if you're Sid, and again, this is a doomsday scenario. I'm prefacing it with that. Nobody's rooting for that. I don't even think it's going to happen. But if you go into this season, things fail terribly, and the Penguins realize, you know what? It's probably just best to turn the page. Strip emotion out of it, Sid, Gino, Letang. Appreciate it. How do we navigate a way out? It's probably the same thing for Sid. He's probably going to want, and Evgeni Malkin and Kris Letang as well. You're going to want, if you can, a competitive situation and have a shot at winning a cup. And it, for myriad reasons, may be impossible here. I hope it's not, but I mean, that's the conversation. If you're Sidney Crosby, you have to have with Kyle Dubas, right? You have to understand where they're coming from, what they believe in, what the plan's going to be, how you fix the power play, what's their vision for the team. Sidney Crosby has been afforded that stuff and deserves that based on all he's done. All right, want to get to some Pirates stuff on the other side of the break. Had a Pirates sort of topic that I didn't get to over the weekend. I want to broach that as well as talk a little bit about their game last night. But first, a message from the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Embrace the laid-back charm of island life while sinking your toes in the sand and discovering real, authentic Florida in the Bradenton area. Unspoiled beauty and pristine beaches, a vibrant waterfront downtown energized by local arts and culture, fresh Floridian cuisine with a flourish of rich history, and friendly locals ready to welcome you to this preserved paradise on Florida's Gulf Coast. Plan your visit today at BradentonGulfIslands.com.
And welcome back to First 10. We are here Monday through Friday around 10 a.m. talking about 10 minutes on all different things Pittsburgh sports, but want to back up a little bit to over the weekend, a game that the Pirates had against the Kansas City Royals. And Oneil Cruz had a suspect game in center field, and there was a little bit of chatter surrounding this about, his functionality, to use a word that Derek Shelton likes to use, in that position. Frankly, I don't care. Frankly, that's exactly what they should be doing. They should use these games for this type of experience, and he got it. It was a ball hit by Adam Frazier. It's like a harder line drive. Cruz dives. Probably wasn't the smartest play. Leads to a triple. Whatever. 2 innings later, Bobby Witt Jr. hits the ball. It's in shallow center. Cruz didn't get a great read on it. Hung back and sort of like sprinted in late. Deflected off his glove for an RBI double. Whatever. Learn from them. There was sort of some criticism about Oneil in center field. And that is far different, a much different discussion for me than anything that might have been happening at shortstop. I wanted to learn, and by and large, I think it's been pretty good. Outs above average. I didn't check this prior to last night's game. Well, he didn't play in last night's game. 1 out above average. For somebody who has never played that position before, absolutely fine with it. I was also struck by one of Cruz's quotes after that Royals game. "I'm good in center field now," Cruz said. "I'm not coming back to shortstop. I feel like out there, I feel comfortable now. I feel like I've got more space and more mental peace to focus on my offense." He said about 4 things in there that if I'm running the Pirates, if I'm a fan, if I'm, a columnist, I feel very good about hearing that. I'm good in center field now. I'm not coming back to shortstop. Think about that. He's bought in. And I think he was bought in from the very beginning. I think some of what was said or not leaked out, but conveyed about his thoughts sort of painted this in a poor picture, in a poor light. Like Derek Shelton and Ben Cherington both said that he was disappointed of being, and I think a lot of people took that narrative and ran with it like he was pouting. No, he's probably just a 22-year-old kid who really wanted to prove himself at shortstop. If I was 22 and somebody told me I couldn't do something, I'm sure in that moment I would have been upset too. I'm a little surprised that they said that, to be honest with you. As much as they try to keep things from the media at times, to say that, it puts a lot on Cruz. That he has to sort of work around that narrative in handling this position change. But I read those quotes and really felt good about where he's at. And again, I couldn't care less about any mistakes that are made, him learning on the job. That's what he should be doing. He should be making mistakes. It'd be weird if he wasn't making mistakes. But I'm not coming back to shortstop. I feel like out here, I feel more comfortable now. He's got more space and mental peace. Boy, I'll take that, because I think Oneil was guilty very much of taking what he did at the plate out to the field, taking what he did at the field out to the plate. And I think you're trying to separate those two. And I think they've done a very nice job. He's done a very nice job of keeping the two separate. Look at his offense recently. Darn good. Really like what I've seen. But anyway, I thought it was, one weekend series, but it was some important growth there for him. And honestly, I was critical of them talking about how, letting it be known that Oneil was frustrated. It's probably just answering the question. It's probably just the natural friction of we're asking how Oneil took it. They're trying to, explain a little bit about that. It is what it is, right? It's an odd thing to happen in season. They did it. You don't often see somebody having a position change that drastically. Anyway, my point is to say that I've been impressed with Oneil. I'm not losing that over one weekend series, and I'm actually glad that he's had some growth moments that he had. The offense last night, 4-0 loss to the Cardinals at Busch Stadium. Not great. They had a tough time. They've scored just 26 runs in the last 10 games they've played against the Cardinals. That's not great. Last night's lineup had just 2 hitters with an OPS over 700, wasted a quality start from Paul Skeens. As you probably know, 6 innings, 4 hits, and a run, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. This just in, Paul Skeens is very good. We know that. This also just in, the offense needs to change things around for next season. That's my biggest takeaway. I do believe they will. I think we just need to get to the finish line. Was doing a little bit of math this morning. 71-79 is the Pirates record. They have 12 games left. They go 500, puts them at 77-85. That's a win better than last season. However, if you look at how they've played since July 31st, which has seemingly been this season-defining slide, 16-27 in 43 games, a .372 winning percentage. That's a whole bunch of math to say that they're not going to get back to 500 in this 12-game stretch, which could spit out a record as bad as they were last year. I shouldn't say as bad. It was actually a pretty good improvement for last year, but you're not hoping to repeat that 76 win total. So we'll see how they fare over the final 12. Need to find a little bit more offense tonight in Busch Stadium weekend series against the Cincinnati Reds. We'll talk more about that. In the meantime, make sure you like and subscribe. You can get all of these videos and more from our other Post-Gazette writers and columnists. Be back here same time, same place tomorrow. Thanks for watching First 10.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.